Hey there guys, welcome back to your brand new Flick Live show. This is it. Don't get scared now. How are you guys doing? Thank you for joining me on this beautiful, sultry Saturday night. And with all that said, let me put my Nicolas Cage shades on and dive into your juicy, delicious questions because I can't wait. And another thing, as usual, grab something salty, something cold to drink, and we'll have a good time. So here we go. And how are you guys doing? What's going on? All right, the first question here comes from James Dozier. Hey, John. Any good places to eat where you live? There's a few good places, but I'm a basic bitch. You know, I go to all the normal places. I get pizza usually at least once a week, but I go to Pizza, nothing too special. There's a few good barbecue places. I'm trying to think. I'm simple these days. Earlier, I got a gas station sub sandwich, which was slightly disgusting, but also delicious at the same time. I go to all the normal places, nothing too special. I enjoy a good steak, though, I'll say that. There's a place called Longhorn where I live. It's probably where you live, too, but a delicious New York strip. Oh, so good, so good. And usually, when I'm feeling extra disgusting, I like to go to McDonald's in the mornings and get a McGriddle. A McGriddle with a greasy hash brown that looks like it's been setting under like a mop bucket for the last 3 days from McDonald's. Oh, that hits the spot every morning. So good. I love it. And I drink a lot of iced coffee. I usually drink at least a bathtub full of iced coffee a day. That's what I live on. But thank you for that. Joey Ruiz, Lord of the Rings, says, "Hey, Johnny, is that a real TV?" In the intro, yeah, that's absolutely a real CRT TV. No, it's a PNG image I found on Google. Thank you for that. The next one comes from Land on Thompson. Okay, there we go. Have you seen Pearl? It's much more disturbing than X. Old people banging? I don't know if you can top that. No, I have not seen Pearl yet. I do want to check it out. How many movies has that same director? It's from the same director of X, right? How many movies did he make 2 movies last year? That's pretty astonishing if he did. No, I haven't seen Pearl. I will check it out. I did see Clerks. I put up a first reaction right here on this channel. I saw Clerks 3, sorry. I put up a first reaction if you want some quick thoughts on that. I was working on a review for the FlickPick channel talking about Clerks, but it's been a busy week. Also, I know someone mentioned, John, are you going to watch Pinocchio? And it's taken me about a week to get through the first 20 minutes of the live-action Tom Hanks Pinocchio movie, and I don't know if I'm going to finish it. I don't feel like there's much of a reason to do it other than just for the simple fact of talking about it. Because as far as like entertainment value, I don't want to watch anymore. It's like, I'm done. I get it. Maybe it gets worse. I just really, to be honest with you, Pinocchio, as far as like classic Disney animated tales go, was never one of my favorites. There's a lot of iconic stuff. I love the scene towards the end where he gets swallowed by the whale. Something about that's terrifying and creepy to me. Does he get swallowed? I'm sure in the live action he gets swallowed by a giant whale, right? If he doesn't, I would be very upset. But I did put out a tweet saying, if you're in the mood for a live action Pinocchio film, you don't need to watch that new Disney shit. No. Just go watch AI, Artificial Intelligence, starring Haley Joel Osment back in 2001, which is essentially the same story of Pinocchio, but with a little android robot and a teddy bear who replaces Jiminy Crickets. And also there's like a male gigolo character in there, some other weird stuff. So yeah, go watch Artificial Intelligence, directed by Steven Spielberg. Jude Law plays the male gigolo at one point. But it's a bizarre movie. But go watch that if you're in the mood for something like Pinocchio. But I wouldn't say watch it with the family. Or watch it with the family. I don't know. That's what my family would have watched over like a live-action Pinocchio movie as I was a kid, and that explains everything wrong with me. So let's continue on before I need to call my psychiatrist. The next one comes from Luis Javier Rubio. How's it going, man? Johnny Funkman, how are you? I'm doing pretty good. No complaints. I was actually editing a few other small videos tonight, and I was like, I'm getting the urge. I'm getting the tingling sensations down below to do a live show and talk to you guys tonight. So that's what we're doing here. But let me continue on with your question here. What's your take on the John Wick franchise? Excited for the new actors coming in? I have not kept up much on the new John Wick movie. I really enjoyed the first John Wick. I like the second John Wick, and I wasn't the hugest fan of the third John Wick film. There's things I liked about it, but overall, it's not really one of those action films I want to go back and revisit anytime soon. I feel like as far as the John Wick universe, they're kind of stretching it as far as it'll go. I liked the simplicity of just Keanu Reeves in a revenge story kicking some ass. Now, when you introduce all these other elements to it, I'm just like, I don't really care about those as much as I just care about Keanu Reeves kicking ass. So I'm hoping we go back to that. My biggest complaint with the franchise was in the second movie, maybe it was the second or third movie, whichever one. I thought they were setting it up to feel more like John Wick Escape from New York. I thought he was going to be in the city just trying to survive for a certain time period. And it's like we sort of got 10 minutes of that, but I wanted very like the Escape from New York vibes. Maybe I'm weird, but that's where I was hoping it would go with one of the, I think that was the second or third movie. I don't remember which one, but yeah, I'm looking forward to John Wick 4. The next one comes from, we answered this. Here we go. Gabe K says, I love my flicky picky. That was creepy, but yet satisfying. Thank you. Let me continue on. You're like a son to me, my own flesh and blood. What are your thoughts on David Lynch's The Straight Story? Never seen it. There's a lot of David Lynch films I have not seen. I would be lying if I said he's one of my favorite directors. David Lynch, The Straight Story. Let's see. Oh, yeah, this is the one where the old man rides a tractor across, or a riding lawnmower across, like, the country. Okay, I had a good pal who always used to tell me to watch this, and I always had it on the to-do list. Okay, The Straight Story. I want to watch this at some point. I've heard it's a good movie. I just have not seen it. It's on, you can't watch, you can watch it on Disney Plus? What? Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll watch that. I'll take a mental note. Boop. Speaking of guys riding lawnmowers, would you guys like to hear a childhood story? I know you would. Here we go. When I grew up in Ohio, in a very small town called Convoy, Ohio, very small town, like one intersection with one traffic light, a gas station, some houses, not much to it, right? We had a neighbor named Jim Bowersock. True story. Old guy, junky yard, all kinds of like machine parts. It was just rusted and decaying. It looked like he lived in a shack. But this old man would ride a riding lawnmower everywhere in town. You just see him come by your house, riding a lawnmower, and he'd be like, that's Jim Bowersock. And he'd be drinking like a Budweiser. Amazing. Like, I wish I could go back and have like an iPhone like I do now to document such things. That would have been glorious. But yeah, I wonder what Jim Bowersock's doing. He's probably dead, but rest in peace, Jim Bowersock. Let's go to the next question. And I assure you, this is a movie live show, but we talk about random things along the way as well. So here we go. The next one comes from Anani Moose. Hey, John, have you seen Peaky Blinders? I've seen one episode. I know there's a hardcore fan base for it. Never stopped and got into it. It just shows like that. There's so many other shows to watch. When it comes to like TV series, I'm really picky. If I watch one episode and it doesn't entice me or blow me away, I typically don't give it another chance, or at least for years and years when I run out of new shit to watch. Currently, we are being inundated and almost, I guess, like spoiled with TV series, with all the stuff coming out right now. I mean, just look in the last 4 months at the amount of good quality TV series we've gotten. Like, I'm still catching up. Like, I still have not gotten through Cobra Kai Season 5 yet. What else there was something else, like Rings of Power. I'm only on like the first episode. House of the Dragon, which I love. I think that's the best yet. And I just went back and rewatched Mindhunter, which if you haven't seen it, please go watch that. I'm hoping Netflix eventually and David Fincher work something out to make another season. I've heard rumors that it might happen in another 5 years. I don't know, but so much good stuff right now. The next one comes from Magic Vinny. Thoughts on Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. That's a must-watch Thanksgiving film I watch every year. I have to watch it at least once. So I love it. I think it's one of the best comedy films, best road trip buddy films of all time. Like, I guess another equivalent to that would be like something like Tommy Boy in a way, which kind of felt like the 90s redo of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles for me, but I love it. I think that's overall one of the best Steve Martin and John Candy movies ever made. And it also, the thing about it, it's more than just a comedy. It like pulls on your heartstrings. It's almost like the perfect comedy movie. So I watch it every Thanksgiving. The next one comes from Carter Lovejoy. What's a movie sequel you didn't realize existed? A movie sequel I didn't realize that it existed? I know there's something that I didn't, and it's always the sequels that aren't straight up titles that they duplicated again, where it says like part 2. It's always some other like spin-off loose sequel. Okay, there was one. It was a Mel Gibson movie. What was it? Get the Gringo or something, which was technically a sequel to the what was the other Mel Gibson movie that came out in like 1998? I forget what it's called, but that was technically a sequel, which I didn't realize when it came out. That's the only one I can think of off the top of my head. If you guys have another one, share it in the chat. I'm sure there's many more, but off the top of my head, that's the only one I can come up with right now. Plus, I need more caffeine. The next one comes from Aki NG. I know NG is not the way we pronounce it. I forget how to pronounce your last name. NG, isn't it Nye? Is it Nye? Aki Nye? Hey, John. Thoughts on Cobra Kai Season 5? Just talked about it. I'm only 2 episodes in. Usually what happens, I have a friend, and it's sort of like our guilty pleasure series. So I try to watch it with him. So right now I'm only on episode 2. And I will just, my biggest complaint with Cobra Kai thus far is I miss the simplicity of those earlier seasons where it was just about Johnny Lawrence overcoming being a piece of shit still stuck in the 1980s. I miss that aspect of it. And now it's like getting so dramatic. And I get it. You need drama and I like the corniness, but it's just, I'm hoping the season picks up a little bit more as I get into it. Next one comes from John Doe. Hey, John, did you watch RRR? Jeremy Johns gave it an awesome tacular. Best action movie since Mad Max. Ooh, I don't know if that's... He said that, or is that like a statement by you? I don't know if I'm going to say it's the best action movie since Mad Max, but then again, I haven't seen it yet. Even if I do see it, I doubt I'll say that. I will get around to watching it at some point, but I have this to-do list, and it's like not towards the top of that list. But I will eventually watch it. Please forgive my sins against humanity. I'll get to it one day, I promise. Joseph Knowles says, hey, John, have you played PlayStation 2 game for Pixar's Up? I can't say I have played PlayStation 2's Pixar Up video game. No, I think the last game I played on the PS2 was probably the game, it was called Black, and it was sort of like a Call of Duty like knockoff game. I remember the cover had a whole bunch of ammunition on it, and I would say the last time I played that was 2006. So that's the last time I played a PlayStation 2. I do have an Xbox Series X, but usually the only thing I play on it is Rocket League. By the way, Rocket League tournament champion, just saying, platinum. And I do play on PC, but the only thing I play on my PC is usually Warzone. And I don't really give a shit about that until the next Warzone map comes out in November. Until then, I won't even think about it or play it, but that's what I'm doing nowadays for video games. And I do have a classic SNES, which I very rarely play. Skylar Wheelock says, hey, John, it's been a while. Do you think Michael Bay masturbates to explosions? Absolutely. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yeah, why else? Yeah, they have like, Michael Bay explosions have like little sparklers in them in his movies. He likes like child sophomore humor. He likes fart jokes. He likes to saturate his movies up to 3,000%. Yeah, but with all that said, I mean, I don't look down on him for such things. I just accept him for who he is. And I do like me some Michael Bay movies. Probably not many recent Michael Bay movies, but hey, The Rock still kicks ass, and Armageddon is one of my guilty pleasure movies of all time. I love that shit. All right, let's go to the next one. Anani Moose says, hey, John, I'm giving you my hard-earned money because money is just an abstract societal concept. Anyways, any thoughts on season 6 of Better Call Saul? Thank you, and I do agree with those things ever so slightly. It's sort of just like, it's a made-up concept that we all agree to for the sake of avoiding chaos and anarchy in society. Another thing I think is a made-up concept is time. We abide by some made-up thing called time. Why do we do that? I mean, to avoid chaos and meet people at a certain time and to get to movies when they're actually about to start playing. Yes, I get those things, but really it's just a thing that we all bought into and we abide by. Why is that? I don't know, but someone said do it and now we all do it. It's kind of scary. But what was your question? Oh yes, season 6, Better Call Saul. I liked it. I liked it overall. I will say the ending, and I won't spoil it if you haven't seen it yet. And if you haven't seen it yet, shame on you. Go watch that shit, because I would say that's one of the best spin-off series of all time. Or prequel series, whatever you want to call it. My biggest complaint with season 6, the finale, was I understood why he did what he did at the end, because morally speaking, he finally owned up to his actions. I get that. But in reality, no one would ever do that. No one would ever do that. I'm sorry. Like, that just felt so far-fetched. I'm like, okay, I understand, like, taking a little bit of responsibility. Get it. Absolutely. But who would throw their life away to that extent? I just, like, that was a hard pill for me to swallow. The next one comes from James Dozier. What is the best way to sell Blu-ray and 4Ks? I've been trying to figure out a good way to sell them. Like you said before, it's about quality, not quantity. Hope my question and selling is correct. It just depends how lazy you are and how much money you want, right? So isn't that the two questions you have to ask yourself in life? I know I do. I would say, if you want the most money, probably go to eBay, lot up your movies, like sell 10 4K movies or 10 Blu-ray movies at a time. You'll get the most money that way. But if you're lazy, take them to a local pawn. Don't take them to a pawn shop. Don't do that. They'll give you like 50 cents. And they'll just smack you in the mouth, give you a pack of chewed up bubble gum and say, get the hell out of here, kid. Take them to like a local physical media store if you have one of those. Take them there, sell them, get some store credit, buy some shit that you do want. And I do agree with you. It's about quality, not quantity. Because if you're just collecting movies to collect them and you don't actually physically ever put them in and they're just dust collectors at this point, like you're not collecting movies, you're collecting dust, okay? There's no reason for that. So I try to keep everything on my shelf that I like, need, and want. So yeah, that's what I would do to sell them. eBay's probably your best bet. Jack Lame says, who are you hoping wins the NRL Grand Final X? I don't know what the NRL is. National. I don't know what that is. Grand Final. I don't know what is that? I don't know what that is. Is that some kind of sports thing? I don't know. I don't watch sports. I don't care about millionaires throwing a ball back and forth. I just never have. What is the NRL? National Rocket League Grand Final? Is that what that is? I don't know what that is. I played a tournament once and won it. I didn't know there was, like, I don't really watch the grand finals or anything. Josh, so yeah, I think you're talking about Rocket League. Okay, if you are, please forgive me. I'm sorry. But I don't really watch it unless I'm playing it. Josh Rivera says, John, you ready to rage over some Warzone season or Warzone 2 soon? Yes, I am, Josh. And by the way, you've been a member for 18 months. Yay! Thank you, Josh. Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping it's good. Usually what happens is me and a few friends hype it up. We play the shit out of it for about a week, and then we don't really play it that much after that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, though. And I probably will break 2 or 3 controllers. I'm sure I will. Michael Campbell says, hear me out. A Boys in the Hood remake was with only Asian women. Okay, where are we going with this? I just think we need more diversity. Asian girls need to see themselves on screen more. You know, oddly enough, and as woke as it may sound, and I don't care, I'm just going to say this. Okay. Fine, let's do it. But with all that said, I like me some Boys in the Hood. And by the way, I did get to interview and meet Morris Chestnut, who plays Ricky in Boys in the Hood. Nice guy. But sure, yes. Why can't we have that movie? Why not, right? Anything's possible. James Dozier says, thoughts on From Dusk Till Dawn. I like it. I do. It's been a while since I've seen it. I wouldn't say it's like one of my favorite films of all time. I think the opening scene is phenomenal. I need to go back and revisit that sometime because it's been a long, long time. I do remember watching it for the first time in like 1997 on HBO and thinking, this is a cool vampire movie. I want to go to this bar in the middle of nowhere. And I still do. One of the better George Clooney movies of the last 20 years or 25 years, I will say that. The next one comes from MVS. How do you feel about the potential DC castings of Adam Driver as Clayface and Bautista as Bane? Also, I saw that She-Hulk Torque gif. Why Marvel? Why? I don't, anymore. I think I need to get the word She-Hulk out of my vocabulary. Just because, like, no matter what criticisms or complaints you say, they usually fall on deaf ears. And the people that say, well, you don't have to watch it. Okay. And then what I say to those people are, but yeah, I know I don't have to watch it, but do you like it? And they go, well, it's not about me liking it. It's about having it exist. And I go, yeah, but do you like it? And they never give you an answer like, well, no, I don't really like it, but I'm glad it exists. It's like, don't criticize my opinion when you don't actually have an opinion, because now it doesn't matter anymore. But as far as your next question goes, before I get too worked up about She-Hulk, which I will probably never finish watching the rest of the series, you got my mind on green women twerking. What was the next part of this question? Oh, yes, Adam Driver's Clayface. I think Adam Driver's Clayface would be an interesting casting choice. And I think it would be an inspired casting choice. I think that would be interesting. But yeah, Dave Bautista as Bane, if ever someone was made to play a role, it's Dave Bautista as Bane. He looks the part. He's an ex-wrestler. Bane is an ex-luchador wrestler who's also from South America. Now, Dave Bautista is not from South America, but he looks like he could be. So, I think that's perfect casting. And the guy can do a halfway decent job of acting. I mean, he's proven that over the years. And he has the physicality. He has the height, the muscle definition. So, yeah, I think that'd be a great casting choice. All right, the next one comes from... Oh, God. Why did the bots come here? Like, do people think you're going to... Oh, yeah, Future is here. Dating AI. 84% match. Like, do they think... Like, that looks like it was typed by a robot. Like, do they think someone's going to... That's just bad marketing. Terrible marketing. At least give me a promo code and I can promote it for you. All right, the next one comes from... It's going to come from somebody up. Let's see. The next one comes from Mason Arnold. I've developed an odd fascination with Fantastic Four stick recently, and the original version sounds much cooler. For example, they were going to introduce Galactus when they went the alternative dimension for the first time, and Johnny Storm was going to have a talkish? What's a talkish? What's a talkish? I don't know what that means. But I will say, if you are referencing the sequel to Fantastic Four, which came out 2007? Yeah, Galactus did sort of show up as a giant cloud. And I will say, Fantastic Four, the sequel, I didn't hate it. I don't think it's good. I think there's some terrible moments in that. But as far as like the Silver Surfer goes, I thought he was kind of cool. I think he looked good. Like, if ever like a comic book character design was done right, I think the Silver Surfer they did a pretty good job on that. So I didn't hate watching it. I think overall it's not a very good comic book movie, but I think the third one, had they pushed the limits and went down that path, who knows? But I will just say I'm glad, well, sort of glad, maybe, hopefully they do the right thing with it with Disney and Marvel. But I'm looking forward to a really well done Fantastic Four movie. But more importantly, I'm looking forward to the next X-Men franchise of movies. Hopefully that's where all my hopes and dreams lie right now. Like with the current lineup of the MCU, to be honest, I don't really care what they do. I like, okay, I'll watch you. I'll go see the movies, but I don't genuinely really care about anyone other than the established OG characters like Thor. I don't care about anyone else. So really, I want to just get through this and get to the X-Men movies eventually, in 2025 or 2026, whenever they're allowed to actually put out X-Men movies, hopefully soon. That's what I want to see. The next one comes from Michael Parton. Still can't wait for Universal to reboot Jaws. Yeah, I love me some sharks. I'm actually building a shark-themed bathroom right now that's connected to my office. Yes, I will have a shark toilet paper roll dispenser and hand towels, and also my shower curtain is a one big poster for Jaws. I like a good shark movie. I just hope they don't ever... Are they actually rebooting Jaws, or are they making another shark movie? I've heard mixed things about that. Silver Surfer was so underrated from Anani Moose. Also, Ang Lee's Hulk. No, Ang Lee's Hulk is not underrated. That was bad. The guy had the balls to make an art house superhero movie, and everyone hated it. Amazing. I don't think Ang Lee's Hulk was I get what you're saying about an art house movie, but at the same time, if the guy was trying to go art house, he would not have used transitions of actual comic book pages flipping from like an iMovie editing software effect that came out in 2003. So to me, that would be a hard argument to say. And also there's like Nick Nolte, character Nick Nolte at the end of the movie. Hey Hulk, what are you doing? You want to fight or something? Here's two giant dogs. Fight them. So yeah, I didn't like it. I thought it was kind of boring. But I will say that the Fantastic Four movie is slightly underrated, or at least the character Silver Surfer. The next one comes from Ben Jansen. Thoughts on that insane Babylon trailer? Babylon? What was the Babylon trailer? Babylon trailer. I watched the Little Mermaid trailer. I have not watched this trailer yet, man. Comes out December 25th. Damien Chazelle. Let's see. Babylon is an upcoming epic period comedy drama film written and directed by blah blah, set in the 1920s during Hollywood's transition to silent films and talkies. The film features an ensemble cast including Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie. Isn't Margot Robbie in everything nowadays? Okay, I'm sold on the premise. I like me some Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie. Okay, I didn't see this. I also saw the upcoming Steven Spielberg trailer, which is sort of like based on his own life ever so slightly. That looks interesting. I like movies about movies. And also this is sort of that same concept. So Babylon, all right. I haven't watched the trailer, but I'm looking forward to it. Just based on the premise. It looks good. I dig it. All right, the next one comes from Gabe K. What's your favorite movie twist of all time? Ooh, man, where do you start with that, right? There's so many good ones. You know, for some odd reason, the one I'm thinking of right off the top of my head is and I knew it was coming way before it came because in Christopher Nolan's Prestige, where you learn that he actually has a twin brother. Now, for me, I watched movies quite a bit. So even back in like 2006, and I was familiar with Christian Bale, I could tell that his brother, I was like, that's Christian Bale wearing prosthetics. So what's going on here? So anyway, but I think that was a good twist. Another great twist for me was always the ending to, and another movie recently sort of copied this same twist ending. But it was the twist ending to Silence of the Lambs. And Black Phone sort of did a similar thing where the authorities show up to a different house and you think that's the house, but really the lone antagonist is at the other location that's actually the dangerous situation to be in. So I like those. There's so many twist endings. I mean, here's a great question, and I'll dive into it on the chat over here, the normal chat. What is your favorite twist ending in a movie? Let me know that right now in the chats, and I'll talk about some of those over there. Someone says they hate The Prestige. Why do you hate The Prestige, man? I've never really heard anyone say they hate The Prestige. I like it. Oh, also the twist ending, or the twist in movies like Fight Club. That was a good twist ending before the internet would spoil everything. I thought that was pretty clever. We got a few people here. All right, we have 7. Good twist. I do agree. Shutter Island. M. Night Shyamalan's Unbreakable. Memento. Angel Heart. Mrs. Doubtfire being the father. A lot of people are saying 7. The Usual Suspects twist ending. I didn't think that twist ending to Unusual Suspects was all that mind-blowing for some reason. The Sixth Sense. Now that's one twist ending no one saw coming back in 1999. Identity. I thought the twist ending to Identity was sort of like a cop-out a little bit. It's like, oh, because it's all in your imagination. That's why. I don't like things like that. It was all just a dream. Old Boy's twist ending. Now, if you want a fucked up twist ending, yes, Old Boy, the original Old Boy twist ending, that'll put a sour taste in your mouth, literally and physically, or literally and not hypothetically, figuratively. There we go. Figuratively was the word I was looking for. All right, the next one. Let's go here. Anani Moose has become a member. Yay! Thanks. Landon Thompson says, are you looking forward to Modern Warfare 2? Thank you for getting back into the new Warzone. I'm looking forward to it. I'll get back into Warzone when the new map comes out. Yes. As far as like the previous Warzone map, Caldera or whatever that's called, I don't remember. Here's what it is. When I conquer a game, and I don't mean conquer like I'm the best, whenever I get lucky enough to like win, like if I win a Warzone round, or win a Warzone game, like I'm like, okay, I did it. I don't need to do it anymore. That's how I feel, and that's what I've done with like Warzone, Rocket League. Like when I can like win as much as I possibly can at some point in the gameplay, I feel like I'm done. Like I'm bored now at it. Claudia Rogajon says, John, the replies to your tweet about the MCU was a bit soul crushing. Sometimes it crushes my soul too. I'm just like, I get that you don't hate these movies, and that's great. I'm glad you can be mildly entertained by such products. But don't you want them to be better? Like sometimes I'm just like, yeah, but don't you want it to be better? Like, don't you want it to be more than just like okay? And some people are just like, no, okay is fine by me. That's all I want. Mediocre. That's good enough for me. I am content. And in terms of that, it does sort of, it hurts me inside. I just feel like once you accept mediocre as the norm, then the norm becomes mediocrity. And I just don't want that from cinema. And you shouldn't either. That's all I'm saying. I'm an advocate for quality cinema. Not always. Sometimes mediocre junk is okay, you know. But overall, when you have movies that are all leading up to this huge franchise epic conclusion, and there's 80 movies, they should keep progressively getting better. Shut up. They should progressively keep getting better. They shouldn't stagnate and get worse. Because I don't care what anyone says, the MCU right now overall is on a downtrend, right? It's going down in quality. Now, you can say there's some good original movies, like Shang-Chi was good. You can say things like that. I get it. But overall, if you look at the overall quality of the movies, the last 5 movies, is it getting better or is it getting worse? And if you say it's getting better, well, then it's hard to convince you otherwise, I suppose. And nor do I care to. But yeah, I get what you're saying. That it's slightly soul crushing for me as well. I can't believe so many people didn't get what you were trying to say. Yeah, I don't know. Things get lost in translation. You know what the truth is on Twitter? I've noticed, I think sometimes tone is everything. And sometimes I feel like if you put out a tweet, people can take that completely the opposite way of what you meant. So that's why I almost prefer to make my points in YouTube videos. Like if I make my point in a video and you disagree with it, at least I can say deep down inside, I said everything I could the way I needed to say it. But on Twitter, it's almost frustrating. To be honest with you, I hate it some days. Other than like sharing links to my videos, I really don't want to use it much. All right. All the casuals left after Endgame. Well, yeah, the thing with Endgame is like it blew its load, and I get that we have to go a different direction and start new, but like you should aspire to make it better, not just like okay. Like I can't really think of any of the new characters I really give a shit about thus far. I mean, Shang-Chi a little bit, sure. I'm curious to see where he goes, but really no one else. I really don't care as a character. I want to. I really do. I want to get invested in characters. Good storytelling, right? You can have almost a lackluster story. You really can in a film. But the thing that makes up for that are interesting characters. People that you either hate or people that you love. You need those types of characters, and right now in the current MCU, I just feel like we don't have those. Like we have some good supporting characters, sure, whatever, but we don't have the Tony Starks. We don't have the Steve Rogers. We just are lacking those. And even the things they're doing with the OG characters like Thor, if Thor Love and Thunder was any indication of where he's going, I'm like, yeah, can we maybe go somewhere else a little bit different with him? So I don't know. I just want good movies. Is that so much to ask for? Call me crazy. Call me a hater. Whatever you want to call me. Elliot Cecil says, Rings of Power still remains to be a bore fest. I've only watched the first episode. I think the production quality is pretty phenomenal. I would even be hard-pressed to say, I think it's almost better looking than the Hobbit films were. But as far as like the story goes, and I have a friend who's a big Lord of the Rings fan. He loves it. He's watched every episode thus far, and he's sort of said, he's like, yeah, it's like not the most exciting thing to watch. And his biggest complaint was some of the subplots don't feel like they belong in the Lord of the Rings universe. Like they don't feel like they quite fit. But like I said, I haven't watched any more. I haven't really cared to watch anything past the first episode. All right. Claudia Rogajon says, also, John, are you excited to see Constantine 2 with Keanu? It was just announced and actually really enjoyed the first movie. Keanu got the attitude down. Yeah, I know there's a hardcore cult following of Constantine fans. I saw the first movie in theaters. I saw it again on like DVD years later and probably on TV. I thought it was an okay, well-made movie. I think it's kind of an interesting concept. I'm not a diehard fan of it. I will watch the sequel. I'm surprised it's getting a sequel. That really does shock me. I'm almost wondering if it'll be a theatrical release or did maybe some streaming service acquire the rights to put it out. And I know Keanu has, and I think he's been pivotal in getting this made or greenlit at least, because I've seen on a number of occasions where he said, you know what, if I could play one character again, it'd be the character of Constantine. So yeah, I mean, the fact that he wants to do that makes me want to see the movie. Am I like, is it going to be my number one most anticipated movie? Probably not, but I'll check it out. Jack Lame says, up the Parramatta, what? What the fuck? What are you saying, Jack Lame? Up the Parramatta elves, get a dead dog up ya. I don't know if that's some weird UK slang or something. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry, but thank you for that. Carter Lovejoy says, thoughts on a series of unfortunate events on Netflix. Haven't watched it. So that's what I think about it thus far. Nothing, because I haven't seen it. People use woke to mask being offended by other people's opinions. Yeah, it's scary, man. It's so scary the way things are changing. Like you can't just say you dislike something. Like you can't just say, yeah, because the story wasn't good. There's always some kind of alternate motive. Like, why didn't you really like it? Is it because She-Hulk's green? Do you have something against green women, John? No, I love green women. But I prefer blue women, especially 9-foot-tall blue alien women that live on Pandora. That is my preference. Call me crazy. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, I don't know anymore. It's scary to have an opinion. I'm scared to see what, you know what it is. I'm just so glad I started YouTube when I did. I just, you could never, oh gosh. It's always, yeah. Let's go to the next one, though. Claudia Rogajon says, yeah, in the original cut of Fantastic Four 2015, they shot this. They got to the other dimension and Galactus was there, and then Doom becomes his herald. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Well, either way, I'm sure it would have been just as terrible as what we actually did get. Because either way, even if they introduced that story, it still would have been like everything else that happened before that would exist. So I'm okay that it doesn't exist. Because Dr. Doom looked like he was wrapped in melted trash bags. Avatar sequel's incoming, I know, man. You can talk shit about Avatar all you want, and I'll just say, you know what? That's fine. I like looking at it. Like, turn on some Avatar at 2 o'clock in the morning and just relax and go to Pandora. Oh, I know this story is not original in any way. I don't give a shit. I like to look at blue people run through the forest. It's got bright, vivid colors. I love it. It's like a 15-minute delay. It's not a delay, man. I'm just 15 minutes backed up I'm 15 minutes behind on your questions. There's not a delay. I can see everything happening in the chat over here. I just like to give you answers with substance because I feel like it's the least I can do, especially if you guys are, generous enough for like a super chat, which does help. I feel like I got to give you the best answer possible, right? But there's like a 20-second delay, to be honest with you. There's the next one comes from Mason Arnold. I meant to say Johnny would have a talk show, and this was for the 2015 version. I forgot what we were talking about with Johnny. What are we talking about with that? I'm sorry. Elliot Cecil says, thoughts on the confirmed Blade Runner 2099 series. Yeah, that could be good. I like a good future dystopian sci-fi type film vibe. Hopefully it's good. Who's the executive producer on it? Who's in charge? Is it the same creators behind Blade Runner 2049 helping to executive produce it? If so, I think it's in good hands. And which network is this going to be on? Is this for like HBO Max? Anani Moose says, Avatar is the perfect screensaver movie. It is. It really is. It's the perfect demo movie to put on a TV for Best Buy. Like if you're trying to sell TVs, you put Avatar on. That'll make you want to buy a TV. I don't care what you say. That will make you want to buy a TV. Then that was the first movie when I first bought a Blu-ray player, the first ever movie I watched on it was Avatar. The next one comes from Bastiel. Hello, John. It was my 40th birthday on September 3rd. Well, happy belated birthday to you. There were so many good films that came out in 1982 that have long since become classics. Indeed, I was born in 87, and the amount of movies that came out in 87 that have went on to be classics, it's just like, oh, if we could have another year like 1987, I would be happy. So I get what you're saying, man. Joseph Knowles says, I still love Inside Out, but is a sequel necessary? I didn't know they were making a sequel to Inside Out. Inside Out was a good movie to watch. I watched it once and never had the urge to watch it again. That's sort of how I feel with a lot of Pixar movies nowadays, though. Claudia Rogajon says, also, sorry to be that guy, but Bane is not a luchador. It was just a design choice in the animated series to give him a luchador mask. But in the animated series, was he not still a luchador? Wasn't that his backstory? I know he went to a prison as a young child. I swear in the animated series he was a luchador wrestler. I swear to that. If I'm wrong, I'm mistaken, but I could have sworn that was a thing. Dustin Rich says, what if instead of an usher confronting a noisy person in a theater, the theater just charges your card another $20? Think people would accept that? Probably not, because as soon as they got charged $20, they'd claim it was fraud or something. You just need to start kicking people out. Zero tolerance policies need to be put in place at movie theaters. You talk, you text, you're done. You're done. Or how about this? You could not have your phone in the theater. That would be like, I go to press screenings all the time, and it's annoying that you have to turn your phone in sometimes. You put it in a Ziploc baggie and the security guards take it. And like, it sucks because I'm one of those people that I will turn my phone off, but I like to have it in my pocket. It's just so much easier, right? But if that's the price I have to pay for no one else to have their phone, I will do that. But thank you, Dustin, for the question. Connor X says, just watch Rob Zombie's Halloween. Cleanse my soul, John. Nothing but screams. Thinking about it makes me want to scream and then cry and then flip over sideways and just die. You know what my biggest complaint with the first Rob Zombie Halloween movie, and before I even talk about the sequel with the magical white unicorn, it's the little kid that plays young Michael Myers in the first act of that movie. He's like this little kid that's supposed to grow up to be this insane serial killer known as Michael Myers. And somehow he has the biggest growth spurt of all time. He ends up going from 4'11" to 6'8". But I just didn't buy that little kid. It felt so forced and contrived. I was like, this is not young Michael Myers. I just can't look at him. I just couldn't look at that little kid for some odd reason. It ruined the entire movie for me. James Dozier says, have you seen the movie Reign of Fire from 2002? I have. Interesting movie. Not many people talk about it, but I will say this about Reign of Fire, and especially the teaser trailer for it, and I've probably said this before. If you go back and watch the original teaser trailer for Reign of Fire, it has this little kid in this very gloomy, gothy type city, right? And he starts walking down an alleyway, and it's this dark, shadowy alleyway until he sees this bright burst of fire. But up until that point, I swear to you, I thought this was going to be a Batman movie. I don't know why. It just felt like little Bruce Wayne walking down a dark alleyway. And then it's Reign of Fire. It's a movie about dragons and shit. But yeah, that's what I thought. That's just a weird thought I always had about that first teaser trailer. I was like, is this going to be the new Batman movie? And no, it's about dragons. Zach Keel says, hey, John, I'm with you on local theaters going downhill. I will say the NCG Cinema in Auburn is a decent theater. I know it's a bit of a drive, but it's worth it for a better theater experience. Well, thank you, Zach. I had a buddy that used to work at that theater. He said it was nice. My only issue is, now the reason, and that theater is 20 minutes away from me. I know what you're talking about. I've never been there. I'm not opposed to going. And I don't mind driving 20 minutes for a quality theater experience. Trust me. But the only reason I go to the Coldwater Crossing Regal Theater typically is because they have reclining leather seats. I've been spoiled. I cannot go to an upright theater where you have to sit in a chair like this. It's so uncomfortable. I hate it. So yeah, I go where the reclining seats are. But eventually, maybe at some point, I will check out the NCG theater up there. I wish they had reclining seats. Elliot Cecil says, and thank you for the question, Zach. Very generous, man. Thank you. Elliot Cecil says, looking forward to Andor. It looks gritty/adult. I have a few friends who have watched it. They said it's pretty good. I'm looking forward to it as well. I like that it doesn't feel like it's going to have these forced cameos and things that it has to mention, because Star Wars. Did you guys see that Star Wars? Or did you guys see R2-D2 back there in the background? Oh, it's I'm okay with having something a little more adult driven. I'm looking forward to it. I like that it doesn't have this nostalgic edge it has to live up to. So yeah, I've heard good things thus far. I can't wait to check it out in a few more days, man. Connor Malloy says, Do you think movies will get better again? In all fairness, we do have good movies occasionally. I think anymore, it's just like if there's so much pre-established source material to live up to, I just expect it not to be good, which is unfortunate. You know, and other things like you can look at other movies like Jurassic World Dominion, right? That was just so there was no excuse for how bad that was when it easily could have been like a great summer blockbuster movie. But we get original quality movies every once in a while. They're few and far between, but we're still getting them. It's okay. I think there's a certain element of cinema that's still alive. Kinji says, which is worse, the Mario Brothers movie from 1993 or Street Fighter 1994? Whoosh. You know what it is? I think it depends on which one are you more of a fan of, right? So I think if you grew up loving Street Fighter, you'd probably be disappointed by Street Fighter 94. If you grew up loving the Mario Brothers, you'd probably be disappointed, right? They're both terrible adaptations of what they should have been. Now, for me, I'm getting old. I actually remember seeing both of those films in the theaters. And I will just say, even as a kid, I thought to myself, this doesn't seem like the game. It just doesn't feel right. Like, I liked sort of watching them, but it felt off. I will just say this, at least Street Fighter 1994, like the characters looked generally like the characters. In Mario Brothers, things just didn't look like they were, like, what the fuck, what was that? Like, you're supposed to have this fantastical other dimension, like the Mushroom Kingdom or whatever the hell it's called. And then, like, where it takes place looks like this, like, gritty, underground New York. I was like, what is this? Like, King Koopa is played by Dennis Hopper. What is happening right now? So in one way, I would say as a kid, I think Street Fighter 1994 might have disappointed me less. If you're going to make me pick. Sean A. says, did you see John Campia's Andor embargo controversy? What did he do? Jump the gun for Andor to get more views and clicks? I don't know. Did he share another leaked image to get more views and clicks? I don't know. I haven't kept up on the controversy. I'm just assuming right now. Is that what he did? He didn't wait for the embargo? I don't really care, to be honest with you. I hope it worked out for him. I don't know. The thing is, when it comes to embargoes, typically you have to abide by those if you are a member of press and they sent you the early screening with the agreement that you were not going to share it. Now, if he technically watched it some other way, if it was leaked somewhere, then he's not really held to that embargo. Now, it might Disney in the future might punish him and probably never give him press status to any other Disney properties. That could be a possibility. But I don't know. The Freak Table says, you and Woody Harrelson just traded lives and you woke up in Kingpin world. Would you rather pay the landlord lady, milk the cow, or lose your arm? Ooh, shit. I probably just want to milk the cow. I think I could live with that. I think I could live with milking the cow, which was actually a bull. I think I could live with that. Is that technically a form of bestiality? I don't know. But if it gave me a choice, that's probably the one I'm going for. Andy Sanchez says, John, you made my night. I was just watching one of your classic live videos from 2021. Well, thank you for that. And by the way, I just put up a brand new live stream 4 days ago. So if you missed that 2-hour extravaganza, go check it out. I believe it was episode 31, and you were talking about how awesome it was to grow up in the 90s. Yeah, not to sound like an old man, but growing up in the 90s was like the best last true time kids could be kids without social media influence and technology to taint everything. Like, you could still like be a kid, you still had like video games, you still had like all these fun things. And then as soon as I became a teenager, like the internet became a thing. It was like the perfect transition of time for me. And the crazy thing is, the thing, like, no other new generation of kids are really going to like completely have that. that's kind of weird to me. I don't know. But then again, I could see being like a 10-year-old kid right now and saying, yeah, life would suck if I didn't have like an iPhone. And I kind of get that, because sometimes I think back to being a kid. I'm like, there were some boring things like I just endured because I didn't have anything else better to do. But I would say, because of the lack of things I had to do, I had to make up shit to do, which might have been questionable at best. But nevertheless, I got to use my imagination to do some weird shit. Now, am I going to share all the weird shit I did? Probably not, but just know we did some weird stuff. The next question comes from Yemen John. Did you know the Gladiator script was incomplete when they started filming? Russell Crowe recalled the script the producer gave him was so bad he had to help them rewrite it. I don't know if I recall that specifically, but interesting. Yeah, you know what? Now that you say that, maybe I've read something about that. I'm curious which elements in the script weren't quite fleshed out yet. But hey, it worked out. Damn good movie. But then you go to other movies where the script wasn't quite finished and they were making it up as they went, like Daniel Craig's James Bond movie from 2000 and what was that? Quantum of Solace. What was that 2007? Where the screenwriter strike happened that year, and just like they were making it up as they went, which shows. And also other movies like Transformers 2, they didn't really have a script because of the strike, and they were making shit up as they went. Those didn't turn out as good as Gladiator. I was born in 87 and feel the exact same way, John. Yeah, man. I don't. It was like the last true time you could be a kid was in the 90s. Now it's like you're tainted with all this other shit, and these opinions are like pushed on you, and you don't really get to formulate who you are and have an individual personality because people are telling you who you have to be. It's scary. It's weird, like, not to get too like political on you, but it's like we live in a weird time where everyone's allowed, like you're supposed to have your own unique original thoughts and opinions, and no one can judge you for it. But really, you can only like have 4 original thoughts, or else everyone judges you for it. It's a weird time to be alive. It's weird. The hypocrisy of it all. It's crazy to me. The next one comes from Alejandro. I hate that new Marvel makes people forget comic book movies can be great, like Captain America 2. Like the numb fans to sub mediocre content, and many fans accept it since it's Marvel. It's supposed to be goofy when they used to make serious movies before Endgame. A lot to take in there. Yes, you paraphrased a few things there that my brain can't quite figure out, but I think I got the gist of it. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I like comic book films that can take themselves serious, but also have a little bit of levity along the way. I think that's what makes a truly great comic book film, or at least in the Marvel verse of things. I'm hoping we get back to that. You can say what you want to about like the Batman with Robert Pattinson. For me, that was by far the best comic book movie of the year so far, and even that's not perfect. I can say that's not a perfect movie, but I think it's the best comic book movie of the year. Yemen John says, what's with the CM Punk AEW backstage drama? You know what it is? I think a lot of people for many years have said that guy is just like sort of bipolar and hates everything no matter what. And I think it's like, I feel like the general fan base is like figuring it out. Yeah, it wasn't just the company he worked for. Maybe it's not an everyone problem. Maybe it's a him problem. That's my assumption on it. Gaming Junkie says, hey, John, do you think we might get Avatar on 4K Blu-ray this year? Yes, I've heard it is coming out to 4K at some point very soon. Yeah, I've heard it's coming to 4K. Isn't it supposed to come out right before the theatrical release of Avatar 2? Because I know they're putting Avatar back in theaters for a minute. And then after the theater run, they'll probably release the 4K. That's what I assumed. Airstrike says, I just got here. Well, thanks for coming nevertheless, man. Have you seen Rings of Power? And if so, what is your opinion? I've only watched the first episode. I don't really feel like it's like a binge watch show for me. I'll maybe occasionally watch the rest of it at some point, but it's not like one of those shows I have to watch on a weekly basis or else I feel like I'm missing much. Are you back in the gym again? You inspired me years ago. Yeah, I just actually went back to the gym the other day for the first time in like 3 or 4 weeks. And keep in mind, in all fairness to me and my muscle definition, I was moving. I had a lot of things going on. I own a different house now. So physically speaking, when you're moving and unpacking and doing maintenance, you just get tired. And the last thing you want to do is like go to the gym and work out. But I did go the other day. Here we go. Little bicep shot for some of you. There you go. And I did some traps the other day. So yeah, I'm back in the gym, man. Feels good. I miss it. I need to start hitting it at least. I need to start going to the gym like 2 or 3 times a week. So maybe I'll go again tomorrow or definitely I'll go Monday. I need to hit chest Monday. Get the pecs back up to par. All right. Sorry for that. If that offended you, well, I'm sorry. Claudia Rogajon says, yeah, Bane was never a luchador. Bruce Timm, one of the creators of the animated series, thought it made him look more intimidated with the luchador mask. Well, in my heart, he was a luchador wrestler in South America, and you can't change my mind. But thank you for the update and the information. I swear he was a luchador wrestler at some point. Either way, I love the mask. Mason Arnold says, the team of Fantastic Four 2015 was originally supposed to get their powers from Galactus shooting a blast of dark matter at them when they're in the other dimension. Sounds scary. That sounds cool to me. I dig that. I could see that happening. I don't hate that. Maybe they'll throw that into the new origin story. Joe Mama says, I'm sorry if you've already discussed this, but what's your opinion on She-Hulk? You know what? I fucking love it. I fucking love She-Hulk. I think it's the best show that Disney's ever made. And if you say anything else about it, I'm going to take offense to it. Not only is a guy who likes movies or TV shows, but on a personal level, I will be offended. Why? You can ask me that, or also it'll offend me more. So I love She-Hulk. Those are my opinions on it. You know what I wish? I wish April Fool's Day was closer to the finale of She-Hulk. That way I can make the biggest lie I've ever told in a review and just literally give you the most positive review I've ever given with a fake facade smile on my face, and talk about it. Listen, if you like it, that's fine. But if you tell me it's good, I don't believe you. Wog Review says, hey, Jonathan, been a fan of yours. Just wanted to know how old you were when you grew sperm. Now, I'm going to ask you guys this. First of all, I won't answer that. But second of all, I want you to know no one else with a live show would answer that question except for me. And I'm going to answer that question. I think I was in 5th grade. And I'll leave it right there. Oh, man. Dustin Rich says, would you become a eunuch for $10 million? Probably not. No, man, I couldn't. It would take away my will to live. Yeeman John says, the incredibly underrated TMNT comics are still waiting for their well-deserved recognition. Hope someone makes a TMNT movie that is faithful to the comics. Probably not anytime soon. I don't see it happening. Though I would love to see it happen because I think there would be a key demo for that. Because the thing is, like, if you watch comic book properties like Deadpool, right? It was rated R. It was a little bit edgy, but it was fun and it had a lot of levity. It did well. People want shit like that. So I think if you wanted to push the TMNT comics to live action, because those were way more violent than they were in the movies, especially like going on for the sequels like Secret of the Ooze, I think there would be a demographic for that. Now, I know we're getting like some new Ninja Turtles movies, or at least an animated one that Seth Rogen was producing or something. But in all fairness, the first 1991 or 1990 TMNT movie, I think that was pretty dark. I think that was a sort of an edgy children's movie that's super underrated. Kinji says, Friday Night Lights or Remember the Titans? Oh, man. I don't remember Friday Night Lights that well. I do remember I recall Remember the Titans more vividly. So just based on that, I'd probably go with that. But it's just been a long time since I've seen Friday Night Lights. I'm going to go with Varsity Blues. I like me some Varsity Blues. Jim Fox says, do farts push the poo out or does the poo push the farts out? The poo. The air pressure is what pushes everything out, man. I think that's been proven scientifically, actually. Wog Review says, John Flickster versus Chris Stuckman boxing match and thoughts on Australia. I mean, come on. Who do you think is going to win that? Come on, man. Boxing match. Thoughts on Australia? I've never been there. I've heard it's beautiful. I'd like to go. I think there's some like beautiful coastal areas. I'd like to check out Australia, man. Jim Fox has been a member for 9 months. Yay. John, you are awesome. Well, thank you, Jim. You're awesome too. C. Giles says, hey, John, thoughts on Kung Fu Hustle? I've only seen that once. And I'd probably never watch it again. And why is it your favorite foreign film? I don't know if it is my favorite foreign film. Kung Fu Hustle. Kung Fu. I'm hoping I'm not getting this confused. Kung Fu Hustle. Yeah, okay. The 2004 action comedy film. That's what I thought it was. And there was another movie that came out around that same... What was the one called, like, Kung Pao or some shit like that? It was another spoof Kung Fu movie. Weird that we got, like, multiple of those movies at the same time period. I saw that once. I probably never watch it again, though. Dick Flick says, did you find your forever home? Yeah, we found a nice house. Moved into it a few weeks ago. Still getting things to put together and unpacked and making a new office. And this is my old office, actually, that I still have right now for the sake of making YouTube videos. Because I didn't want to neglect you guys like I have with many other moves. And I learned my lesson. So yeah, it's coming along, man. I'm building a new like setup for my YouTube videos, and building like a custom desk area. So it's going well, slowly but surely it'll get there. Faisal H says, congrats on 100,000 subs. This channel deserves more. Well, thank you for that. And you know what? I'm glad this channel hit 100,000 subs because this was always sort of my whatever channel. Like I didn't rely on topical things. I didn't talk about every new comic book movie coming out, so I'd like to think this channel is purely based on my personality. Take it or leave it. You came here, you subscribed based on me, and I do appreciate that, and that does mean a lot. And the fact that 100,000 people did that, I'm satisfied. I really am. And for many years, I didn't post on a regular basis with this channel until I started doing the live shows, and that gave this channel a whole new purpose and a whole new life. So yeah, thanks for that, man. And actually back there is the 100,000 subscriber plaque for this channel. I have that one, and I have another one. You can't see it, but I have my old one, my OG one for the Flickpick channel beside it over there. Thanks, though. J-Man92 says, hey, John, I saw the movie Pearl last night and really enjoyed it. Far better than X, my opinion. That's good. That to me is really good to hear. I liked the cinematic quality of X. I liked the way it looked, but the overall story, I was like, that's really that we did all this for that. I was a little bit let down. Totally different tone and more character driven. Those are things I like to hear. I found myself empathizing. Sorry, I can't read. With Pearl, sort of like the Joker. Would love to hear your thoughts. Yeah, I like things like that. I like the tragic, flawed character that's, in a way, sort of the antagonist and the protagonist at the same time. I love characters like that. So right there with what you just said sold me on that movie. And I haven't seen it yet, but I will. Alejandro says, John, I didn't know your superhero origin and power was being able to grow sperm in the 5th grade. Once again, we're back to this. I'd like to leave this. But yeah, I was 12 years old at the end of 5th grade. That seems common. I like how we're growing it like it's hair. Like it's just growing out of my head. Now that would be an interesting superpower. Tom Hernandez says, you should react to some of your old videos right now. I do want to react to some of my old videos. I'm not going to lie to you. I think that would be pretty a good time. Also, I've said it before. I have a 20-something minute montage I want to upload. The only thing is, the dude who made it for me, and I'll give him credit when I post it, but it has like 20 copyrighted songs in it, and I'm just afraid it's going to get copyright strikes. I don't care about not monetizing the video. I don't care whatsoever. I just don't want to get copyright strikes. But it's a great montage. It's a great montage of this channel. I think you guys are, if you guys have been here since the beginning, it might just it'll bring a tear to your eye. It brought one to mine. Zach Keel. And thanks for the very generous super chat, Zach. Here we go. I saw an old video of yours recently, and you said you thought Sony LCD TVs were terrible. I have 2 Sony OLED TVs, and to me, they look pretty great. I do love LG OLEDs, though. Okay, but now you're comparing 2 technologies. So for me, there's not really any LCD TV that I think looks great. Now, if you're just like casually watching TV on it in a living room or whatever, fine. But for me, I don't think I could ever go back to using an LCD TV. OLED all the way. You can't beat the superior contrast. You just can't beat it. No, but a Sony OLED, yeah, I'm sure that looks great. I'm sure it does. My next TV will be an 83-inch LG OLED TV. Excuse me. It'll be a C2. That's the model. I'm just trying to save up the cash to get it. And speaking of TVs, I do still have my, it's sitting on the floor at my new house, but I have my original 2010 50-inch plasma LG TV. Now that thing's built like a tank. That thing is bulletproof. It's indestructible. And if there ever is another nuclear holocaust that ever happens, it will be the only thing that survives. This thing it's impenetrable. But the thing is, it's a plasma. It weighs 3,000 pounds. And it literally radiates enough heat to like, you could put it in a house without heat and it would warm up an entire family for the entire winter. So I'm pretty sure it costs like $87 to run per day. I don't know why I'm talking about that, but I just wanted you guys to all know I still own my original plasma TV. And if you do too, let me know. The next question comes from WOG Reviews. Do you hump and dump? Only when it comes to stocks. LED tube TVs for life. Yeah. Speaking of, if you guys want to hear me talk about TVs for a second, I'd like to talk about it. I remember a weird time back in like 2005 when everything was transitioning to LCD TVs because it was like the new technology, the new phase. And for me, I always thought they looked like shit. I was like, well, everyone wants to go to these TVs. Why? Like, I always thought they looked really bad. And the reason they all looked bad, because in 2005, I didn't comprehend what an HDMI cable was. And there was very little HD content. So all these LCD TVs that were coming out had like SD quality content, or nobody was hooking up an HDMI cable. They were still using like their old coax cables. And I was like, these new TVs look like crap. Like, I was mad that they were phasing out CRT TVs. I was like, no, please don't. So a little backstory on TV technology for you guys. All right, the next one comes from Kinji, who says The Notebook or Brokeback Mountain. Probably go with Brokeback Mountain. I think a superior acting job by everyone, and I enjoy the story more, and I like Heath Ledger and Jake Gyllenhaal together in a tent, sharing love for one another. There, I said it. Inani Moo says LED tube TVs over OLED. No, man, OLED is the way, man. The next one comes from Joseph Knowles. My friend said I like brown rice and it's not a nutty flavor, and my other mate said I'll give you a nutty flavor. What? Okay. Double Chief says, John, have you ever seen The Pianist, Roman Polanski's Schindler's List? Watch it for the first time last night. It was excellent. I have been praising that movie since it came out many years ago. I love The Pianist. I've seen it probably 5 or 6 times, and I don't think many people would watch that movie more than once, but for me, I think it's a phenomenal cinematic experience, and it really does immerse you into like the Jewish ghettos, and I think it's phenomenal. I would say I actually enjoy the experience of The Pianist more than Schindler's List. For me, it's like it brings out so many emotions, and it just makes you like Schindler's List. Yes, it does make you sad and all those things, but man, something about The Pianist, the story, it just feels like the survival aspect of it. It's so much more visceral to me. And if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. Say what you will about Roman Polanski, but that was like was that like the last movie he made? Or one of them. By the way, I saw Roman Polanski in person once. Isn't that weird? True story. I really did. The chat tonight, laugh out loud. Yeah, it's off the rails. I don't mind going off the rails. I really don't. Claudia Rogajon says, I'll say this, but truthfully, give me Ang Lee's Hulk over something like Thor Love and Thunder any day. At least it tried to be about something. Oh, hey, man, I'll agree with you all day. I would rather watch something that tries its heart out and feels inspired and it fails than some other like mediocre corporate piece of shit that's crapped out too soon and instantly flushed away. I will give you that. At least it tried to do something. In all fairness, yeah, I agree with that. Wogue Review says, do you think Hitler and Osama bin... I can't even say this without getting demonetized. Oh, do I think they're both in hell, rotting with Satan? Yes, I do. And I hope they're getting pineapple shoved up their asses. Yeaman John says, most annoying director trademark. Tarantino's foot fetish or Shyamalan's twist ending or Michael Bay's explosions. Tarantino's foot fetish doesn't really get in the way of his storytelling, so I can give that one a pass. Shyamalan's twist ending, sometimes it's like, okay, well, what's the twist going to be? And he has such an uphill battle with every movie that he puts out. Unless it's mind-blowing, you're disappointed. Michael Bay's explosions, that's almost a trope at this point. So that really, if you go to a Michael Bay movie, you just expect it. Alejandro says, John, when will your next Zoom video with fans be? I missed the last one. I'm trying to make the first cameo in a John cinematic universe. Yeah, man. Here's what I'm thinking. And let me know if you guys like this idea. I do want to do another hangout with you guys. The issue is I'm a very impromptu guy. When I do live shows or live hangouts, I like to be at 120% because I feel like you deserve nothing less. But sometimes I can't predict when I'm going to be in such moods. So I do want to do one. And I'm thinking, and by the way, guys, if you guys are Patreon supporters or YouTube members and you guys support the exclusive podcast perk, I just put out a post like 2 hours ago where you guys can submit your podcast questions and comments and topics where we do a deep dive discussion about those. So go look for that post on the community tab if you guys support that perk or over on the Patreon feed. But with all that said, I think for the next friend, viewer, whatever you guys want to call it, I'd rather just call it a friendly hangout session. I think the next time I do it, I want to have you guys, I'm gonna have a few movies, right? I'll pick from a handful of movies. I'll let you guys vote on a poll. And I think I want to do like a deep dive discussion. Like I'll call it the flick pick, right? And this will just be for this will just be for viewers and people who support the perk or whatever. And we'll sort of like have an hour dedicated to like talking about a particular film. That'll be like the main topic of the hangout. And then along the way, we can talk about whatever you guys want to. That's fine. But yeah, I think I'll call it like the flick pick. It makes sense, right? I've only had a channel called the Flick Pick for 12 years. I'll run with that theme, and we'll do something like that. So if you guys would like to do something like that, let me know. I'll put a poll out for everyone who's a YouTube member or a Patreon supporter or whatever. And I'll invite you guys, and like a week before we do the hangout, we'll pick a particular movie, and that'll be the main topic of the hangout. And what I'll do is I'll take like some segments or clips of the hangout, and I'll probably like post it live. So yeah, maybe we'll do something like that. I had that idea in the shower a week ago, and I forgot about it until just now. So thank you for bringing that to the surface. So yeah, let me know if you guys would like to do that. Let me know. "15% of all Swiss people are millionaires. I'd say Switzerland would be a lovely place." Yeah, I've been to Zurich, Switzerland, 2 times, and it's definitely the capital of billionaires, for sure. I felt so poor when I went there. Like even their McDonald's there, I remember getting like, or somewhere, I went somewhere and like a hamburger cost like $20. It was insane. Michael Witherspoon says, "Hey, John, I'm sorry I'm late. Hope you're having a good night." Well, I'm having a good night, Michael. Hope you are too, man. Thanks for joining. Thoughts on Little Nicky with Adam Sandler, Spider Flick? I like Little Nicky. I was going to try to do an impression, but I forgot what he says. "My dad's the devil." Not a very good impression. I'm sorry for that. I'll work on that. "He called their shit poop." That's my only Adam Sandler impression I have. I liked Little Nicky. Not one of my favorite Sandler movies, but I always sort of liked it. Okay, guys, I'm going to just take a few more questions and wrap up this live show. It is getting late, and I need to go eat some din-din. We got one here from Claudia Rojan. "I forgot to mention earlier, but I watched the first Clayface episode of Batman animated series. If they do Clayface, just do that storyline. It's perfect." The thing with Clayface is he's definitely going to be a character that has body dysmorphia and definitely disguise himself to look different. I don't know if he's going to be able to shoot giant turd like things out of his ligaments. I think that might be pushing it if they do like a live action version of Clayface. But I would like to see the character, like a realistic version of the character. Dustin Rich says, "Have you seen the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes cartoon?" I have not. I normally don't like Marvel cartoons, but I think it rivals Batman the animated series. Ooh, I've heard people talk about it, but I've never heard of it put on that pedestal before. I haven't watched it. There's a lot of like DC and Marvel comic or animated movies. I just can't get into it. I don't know what it is. I just feel like sometimes they just try to put too much into them. Like every time I see like an animated film from DC or whatever, it just feels like they always feel obligated to put 17 villains in this one movie. And if you put that into a live action version of the movie, people will call that bloated. They'd be like, "Oh, there's too many characters." But whenever it's in an animated version of it, people are more accepting of it. I've always noticed that. All right, we got one here. Oh, Ricardo Franco, man, killing it with the super chat. Man, thank you, Ricardo. Always too generous. And let me dive into this beautiful, juicy question here. Here we go, Ricardo. Once again, thanks, man. "John, just wanted to chip in. Every time you get in trouble on Twitter, it makes me want to donate more. Keep up the honest opinions." Thank you for that, Ricardo. I don't think I got in trouble. I think the only thing I said is, I just wish Marvel was as good as when the first Iron Man came out in comparison to what it is now. And I just happened to share a picture of She-Hulk twerking with a big CGI ass. If that's wrong, I don't want to be right. But thank you for that, man. Thank you, Ricardo. I don't think it's a crazy opinion. I mean, to me, if that's a crazy opinion that insults you, then I guess we're just going to have to live with that. I'm not going to say I'm sorry. I can't control how offended you get over nothing. I refuse to tiptoe and walk on eggshells. But thanks, Ricardo. Way too generous, man. Thank you for that. If I could give you, I'll give you a digital hug. Shh, it's okay. And a high five. Thank you, Ricardo. Claudia Rogan says, why do you want everything to be realistic with Batman? I don't want everything to be realistic with Batman, Ricardo. I just think for this current version of Batman, we should aim to be a little more realistic. And also, if ever you were going to be realistic, isn't Batman the one character, the one superhero it should be realistic to some extent? Now, with Ben Affleck's Batman, a little more fantastical. If you wanted to put like a Clayface character in there who has some kind of mutation to where he can look like a giant turd who can shoot things out of his hand, that's fine. But in this current setting of Pattinson as Batman, to have that version of Clayface from the animated series, don't you just feel like that wouldn't look right? Also, you go on to say, it seems more to me you're a Chris Nolan Batman fan rather than a pure Batman fan, always super nat. I think I answered that question. The scary thing is you write a fine line of like, will it turn into Batman and Robin? I think tone is everything. You have to start with that tone and continue on with that tone. To interject something tonally that extreme into something that realistic, I just don't know if I don't like that. It's too much of a clash. Thor 1 is underrated. You know what? I don't love Thor 1, but I think it's a fine origin story. I mean, there's definitely some issues, quite a few issues, including all the Dutch angles that felt really dumb. But yeah, I think there's some... Thor 1's still entertaining. I have it on 4K. Anani Moose says, a big doo-doo monster in a Reeves movie won't fit. It's true. Yes, more or less, that's all I'm saying. Arnold says, would you rather lose both of your legs or get banged in the butt by Patrick Bateman who flexes and screams into the stars? Can we just wrap up the live show? I think that right there is the perfect conclusion of this live show. And with all that said, I have to return some videotapes now. Oh, what's that? My name's Christy, not John anymore? Okay, Patrick Bateman, you got it. I hope that answers your question. As long as we're listening to 1980s pop music, anything goes. All right, let's see. We got Spider Flick here who says The Incredible Hulk is good. I like The Incredible Hulk 2008 is the most underrated Marvel film of all time. Just saying it. Jim Fox says Jefferson Point 18 is the only IMAX I've been to. Is a real IMAX that much better? Yeah, so Jefferson Point IMAX is technically a LIMAX. Now, it is presented with IMAX technology and a projector and the sound system, yes. But the size of the screen is just simply the largest screen they could possibly put in the auditorium. A real IMAX screen is probably about 5 times that size, and I assure you it is a very, very, very different experience. But it's okay to go to like a slightly upgraded IMAX experience. That's fine, but a real IMAX, a true IMAX screen, it's night and day. If you can get to one, go to one. All right, last question here goes to Claudia Rogan. Batman isn't realistic. He's a guy in a bat costume, laugh aloud. Plus, we already had a realistic with Nolan. Good writers can make supernatural work. Yes, but with the Kurt Battinson reality of things, we've already set the tone and the precedent for the logic in that reality, and to change that would be to undo everything, and it would be flawed, in my opinion. That would be like throwing Mr. Freeze in one of the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. It just doesn't mesh. Now, if, like I said, if you put more of the fantastical character in one of the solo Ben Affleck Batman movies, have we ever gotten one of those? Yeah, that's fine, because in that universe of things, I mean, he's associating with people that have superpowers, like Wonder Woman, Aquaman, things like that. So I could see that working. But right now, with this current version, it does not work. MKF30 says, hey, what's up? So did you finish Cobra Kai? Thoughts? I haven't. I'm on the second episode of season 5. I have a friend, and that's sort of like what we always do. We always hang out, drink Dr. Pepper, and watch Cobra Kai. And I'm trying to watch the majority of it this week if I can. Thor is not underrated. The flick pick is. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I do appreciate that. I only wish I had godlike powers. All right, guys. John, my birthday is next week. Well, happy early birthday to you, man. Hope it's a good one. Blow out some candles for me. All right. With all that, guys, I want to say thank you guys for joining in for another very impromptu live show, hangout, whatever you guys want to call this. I like to call it hanging out, talking about movies, and other weird shit. But I do want to say thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for the questions. The super chats, very appreciated. It helps so much. I assure you it helps a lot. But as always, guys, stay safe. Have a good night. I'll see you guys very soon. And if you guys want a Clerks 3 dedicated review on the Flickpit channel, let me know. I can still do it if you give a shit. If not, maybe I'll just review something else. But let me know. Thanks for watching, and give this shit a thumbs up if you could, because YouTube hates us. Take care, guys. Bye-bye. Oh, Claudio, you did this at the last. You did this one more time, man. This is the last question. You always do this. Claudio Rogojan says, so they have to show someone like Superman in the first movie to get it to not be realistic. Batman always starts off grounded and then gets weird. Once again, I just think the Batman is a very grounded crime drama that just feels like it has a guy dressed like a bat in it that's a vigilante. To introduce a guy who shoots poop out of his arms and transforms and metamorphs into anything, it's like, how do you go to Carmine Falcone or the Riddler to that? It would just be such a leap. So yes, I think you have to set the tone starting that to continue with that. And no, I don't think you need Superman in there, but you got to set the groundwork in the first movie. And this first movie is, I don't see Matt Reeves ever doing that. I could see him having like a guy who's messed up and like changes his appearance called Clayface, but he's not going to be a big brown guy who looks like a snowman made out of mud. All right, one last question, and I got to stop, guys, but I do appreciate it. Yeaman John says, best comic book film of the 90s, TMNT, The Crow, Batman Returns, Blade, The Rocketeer. Sorry if I can't find any other good ones from the 1990s. Oh, I'd probably go with Batman Returns from the 90s. If you had to pick the 1990s for a comic book movie, for me, a personal preference would definitely be Batman Returns. And Dana DeVito's Joker is one of the most underrated villains of all time. He's a creepy child murderer, circus freak, who kidnaps kids. Could you get more demented and evil? No, you cannot. Also, the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I would say, is like a close second. So thank you, guys. Have a good night, and stay safe. And thanks for the questions, guys. Bye-bye.